A secret plan, a laboratory conceived in hell, with scientists who unscrupulously conducted experiments on humans for the sake of biochemical warfare. History International presents Unit 731, Nightmare in Manchuria, now on World Justice.
There is no conscience, no compassion, no humanity, no sense of ethics in this.
It was a laboratory conceived in hell, a place where death was routinely harvested.
A Japanese soldier jammed bayonets like this into the stomachs of 6 people, and their intestines spilled out.
Those who entered never left.
I was told they were killed in a gas chamber. I could see the smoke rise.
To this day, the experiments remain shrouded in rumor.
I think they gave me Amtrak. I think they gave me scarlet fever.
I know they took probably at least 1 or 2 of our guys up there, because we never heard about them again.
And when the evil finally ended, it only became compounded.
The U.S. government not only knew about these atrocities, but covered up these medical atrocities in exchange for the medical data.
Today, the crimes remain unpunished.
Everybody got away with what they had done. We must have justice for the victims.
It was called Unit 731, and this is its secret story. Harbin, Manchuria. Once known as the Paris of the Far East, as its close proximity to what was once Russia gave the city a unique European flavor. Today, Harbin is primarily a manufacturing center, and its 3 million inhabitants work hard to put specific horrors of the past behind them. And those horrors have a name. Unit 731. 1937. The seeds of the Second World War in the Pacific were sown with the brutal Japanese military occupation of China. The Japanese population had outgrown its natural resources, so the Empire of the Sun looked outward, saw the bounty of China, and decided to take what it needed. Their invasion left death and destruction in its wake. Cities, towns, and hamlets were leveled, looted, and burned. Rivers of terrified refugees fled the savagery. Those who stayed were subject to rape, imprisonment, enslavement, or death. But despite their arrogance, Japan's military leaders knew that they were not invincible. Other countries, including the nearby and hostile Soviet Union, were rumored to have something Japan did not: biochemical weapons. In order to continue their consolidation of Asia without fear of reprisal, Japan knew that they must develop a biological and chemical arsenal, far from the prying eyes of the world. And, while no one was watching, anything could and did happen.
Thousands of Japanese scientists, technicians, medical doctors, veterinarians, dentists, all sorts of professionally trained scientific personnel engaged in the most atrocious actions that one can imagine. They vivisected people, they cut them open while they were alive, sometimes even without the use of an anesthetic, showed the various parts of the human body as it was functioning.
Modern biochemical warfare began in 1915 during World War I. In an attempt to break the bloody stalemate of trench warfare, the Germans deliberately deployed chlorine gas on its enemies. The weapon proved extremely effective but imprecise. A shift in wind direction could kill the attacker as easily as the attacked. But soon, both sides were using chlorine gas routinely.
World War I started this notion of total warfare, of slaughter on a scale which the world had never sort of experienced before. To win a war, people thought you had to be willing to employ any weapon. Notions of morality in warfare were very fluid indeed.
Shocked by the human cost of these weapons, 10 years after the first use of gas, the Geneva Protocol, a treaty ratified by 145 countries, including Japan, banned gas and biological weapons. But mere words on paper were not enough to stop an opportunistic Japanese army officer from conceiving the plans that would result in the creation of Unit 731. An officer some called a monster, others a genius. His name was Shiro Ishii.
To characterize him as a monster would be appropriate, because the man has no sense of humanity whatsoever. He loved his children. He was a good father. He was a good husband by the culture standards of the time. But one can say that Adolf Hitler liked children too.
Shiro Ishii was born in 1892 into a wealthy Japanese family. His family owned more land than any other in their community, and with that power came privilege. The Ishii's almost feudal dominance extended to nearby villages. Because of his family's wealth and position, Shiro Ishii grew up arrogant. He had little or no regard for those he saw as being beneath him.
He had no sense of morality. He was loyal to the emperor and to the military, and yet embezzled funds from the appropriations he received. He's very difficult to really kind of pinpoint, except for his almost monomaniacal ambition to develop biological weapons. That's the only thing that's consistent about this man. It's his single-minded purpose in life was to become known as the father of biological weapons.
Lieutenant Ishii had a gift for manipulating the bureaucracy of the Japanese army. He soon began to recruit the allies who would help him realize his goal, a state-of-the-art medical research facility in occupied Manchuria, a laboratory over which he had complete authority. Ishii kept his ultimate plan secret from all but his closest associates. But this network of friends led all the way up to the man whom the Japanese considered a living god, Emperor Hirohito himself.
There could be no deployment of military units overseas or biochemical operations without orders from the emperor.
Emperor Hirohito's brothers, other relatives, most important was his uncle, actually participated. They visited some of these death camps, or what I term death factories.
In 1936, by explicit imperial order, Ishii's dream was approved by Emperor Hirohito. Ishii immediately left for Harbin to supervise every phase of creation of the world's greatest medical research facility dedicated to biological warfare. Ironically, it was officially referred to as an epidemic prevention and water supply unit. And as Shiro Ishii assembled his scientific team in Harbin, he revealed the real reason for locating Unit 731 in China. The Japanese occupation of China was as brutal as their invasion. Secret police roamed the countryside, rounding up anyone suspected of opposition. Chinese and Russians who lived in Manchuria were fair game. Shiro Ishii saw an inexhaustible supply of research materials.